August 26th, 2018. The smell of pizza is never far off for those gathered at the GLHF or the Good Luck Have Fun game bar. The place gamers, nerds, and lovers of drink and food can go and play anything from PCs to console games among friends while drinking and eating. This day was different than most. A tournament was going on. Sadly, they had no idea just how different it would be. Over 130 people gathered to watch the best of the best prove their skills at a qualifying tournament of Madden NFL 19. Thumbs flying over controllers as esports athletes and esports hopefuls participated in round after round for placement to continue for the chance to get to the big leagues at the end. People eating, drinking, laughing, watching as players stream live over Twitch, cheering on their favorites and their friends. This happens all over the country and the world for a myriad of games and thousands of people. This day was unfortunately not going to be like any of those, however. One individual, losing his final round, refused to shake his opponent's hands. Showing no sportsmanship, throwing a fit, and storming off in a snit, around 1:30, he returned with a gun. The last footage of a red dot appearing on the chest of one individual streamed live to the world as shots rang out. People screamed and panicked, running for door and cover alike, anything to get out of the madman's path. One announcer, Toshiba Sharon, he was just interviewing the first victim before he was fatally shot. That was his initial target. Elijah True Boy Clayton of Woodland Hills, California, was the one that had been seen with the red dot on his chest. He died at the age of 22. After that, the gunman opened fire randomly at anybody near him. A total of 12 shots, wounding 10 and killing 2. The second was Taylor Spots Me Please Robertson, a professional gamer from Ballard, West Virginia. In the end, the gunman turned his gun on himself. He suffered from a history of mental illness and was prescribed antipsychotic medication. His name is not worth repeating here. We are not going to give airtime to his name, and as it seems to be what these kinds of shooters desire, we're not going to give them what they want. Mental illness knows no reason and instability knows no bounds. To the affected families of Clayton and Robertson, you have our heartfelt sympathies and best wishes to see you through this dark time, as well as all those injured and affected by this horrible tragedy. On behalf of the RPMMORadio crew, we reach out in solidarity to our fellow gamers and promise never to forget. God bless.
This is RPMMORadio.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
A podcast all about roleplaying and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job.
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sid, Jazz, Straffe, and Kishmas.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players. Again, this is our 58th episode, Relationships, the end-all, be-all.
It is not. Mark 2.
I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, as always, is Jab. Jab. I missed the Y in Jazzy B. It just turned
Jab,
into
huh?
Jab.
That's interesting.
It's just, I mean, every time you talk, that's just what I want to do to you. Just right in the throat. Just jab. Sib and Straffe. Kishmas, of course, is looking for an ambidextrous mouse as we speak at his job. He at least knows the definition of ambidextrous, unlike Jazz.
Or was it the person who tried to help Jazz?
What? No. She just she has the best words. So
goodness.
appreciate, man, you guys are just a barrel full of fun and humor tonight. I can already tell this is going to be horrible.
I mean, technically,
Horrible.
I thought that Kishmis was arraigned with the Halfling Hate Crime Division right now. That's why he was late.
There's no such thing. Every crime against halflings is justified and acceptable.
You're racist against Halflings, sir.
It's not racism, it's just fact. It's just fact. So appreciate everybody for tuning in over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. We, of course, do this live every Saturday at 7 Central Time. That's 8 for you Easterners. I don't know why you sound like Hicks, but yeah, we're going to go with it. We are, of course, also a podcast. You could tune us after the fact. We did have some technical, apparently, glitches for some reason. Funny enough, this time, not my fault. Before the show, we gave a quick shout-out to the people in Jacksonville and a tribute. It will only be available on the podcast since, for whatever reason, I got it recorded, but it didn't stream out to the rest of the world. So go ahead and join the podcast and listen to that probably around Monday over at iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, which, of course, is a very popular one, Podbean, and basically any Android podcast app that you can purchase free podcasts from. I don't know how they manage that, but they're always monetizing something.
But we'll be there, so you should be there.
That's right. I also want to give a quick special thanks to all of our Patreon donors. We appreciate each and every one of you. It's awesome that anybody even cares enough to do that, especially those at our raid boss level, like the Truth Bob, who just said, and I quote, "good." I don't know why, but patreon.com/RPMMORadio if you want to contribute to that. We appreciate everything everybody throws our way. We are actually probably next episode going to throw out a few things there of what we've been working on, what we had Smiling Sorcerer work on for us, and kind of get your guys' input as well, because we want to make some little stickers and things like that for the show. But I think I want to get your guys' input, see what it is that you guys would be more interested in and more want. I don't know, I don't want to say purchase, but if you want to buy it or if you donate through the Patreon, you'll also get it sent to you after, I think we're going to set the limit at least $5 because, it costs money to make it and then ship it. Not to mention all the writing Sib's going to have to do.
All the writing.
I will handwrite every letter.
And if you require it, she will seal it with a kiss.
Uh-huh.
Woohoo!
I will.
Yeah.
I could do that.
She's got this lip fungus what ain't been identified yet, so I wouldn't put it anywhere near you after that.
How'd she get that, bro? That's the question.
That's one of my favorite lines. Look at you, little guy. Come here and give Grandpa a kiss. I'd hold off on that. He's got a lip fungus we ain't identified yet. I love National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Such a
Good
great
stuff,
movie.
man.
So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Everyone have a pretty decent week. Everyone do all right.
Not too bad.
No, Jazz, I'm looking at you. No internal organs infested with stones this week, I hope.
No, it was actually a pretty quiet week.
Oh, those don't belong inside the human body. That's very
yes.
uncomfortable, I'm told.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. My mom always said I had rocks in my head, but I don't think that's the exact same thing.
Well,
Not really.
hopefully her husband decides to live a little better instead of acting like a bachelor.
Yeah, more Mountain Dew. That's all I'm hearing. More Mountain
No,
Dew.
he's done really well this weekend. He got on some new vitamins that'll help his liver and his kidneys. So
Oh,
There you go.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. And, well, shit, now I can't remember. Strafade, did we already say that you're down at the border, or was that the pre-show part that didn't get recorded?
It was the pre-show part.
Okay.
That's why I said
Yeah.
part 2 at the beginning of the intro.
And I just can't. I can't keep
So
track of which part
Strafan is
was
live
what.
from the border in McAllen, Texas.
That's right. All the way down there.
Yeehaw.
I'm just saying, if you need any hardcore drugs, I know a guy real close to the border.
Sorry, Yeehaw stopped in San Antonio. Down here, it's Buenos Dias.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say
sorry.
yeah. That's near the
Buenos
border. It's a
Dias.
lot. It's not the lush, quote unquote, green area we visited in Texas. Down there, it's mostly desert land, kind of, isn't it? Just rocky desert.
It's semi-arid down here.
Yeah.
It's semi-tropical, so you got grass and palm trees and stuff. It's kind of flat and scrub brushy.
Yeah, you actually get the the genuine kind of like 2 minute noon. The dust, the dust crosses the line, and then a tumbleweed blows in front of them. Yeah.
As I drive down 281, pushing 85, because I'm going to be run over by people doing 90, I can literally hear the fistful of dollars sound going through my head, or the good and bad and the ugly if I look left and right, and sometimes a tumbleweed.
Yeah, this town's only big enough for two of us. No, really, there's not even a stoplight here.
True story.
All right. So apparently Jazz's connection sucks. Jazz, does your connection suck?
Can you hear me? Do I sound mechanic?
I mean, no more robotic than you usually
You
do.
sound like Jazzy.
Okay, well then good. Maybe
I
it's
mean,
going
you're
to
not
behave
like
now.
Al Gore robotic, just,
Ha 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 ha.
Well, she is a Cylon. She's just covering it real well right now.
Just remember, Jazz, the Earth has a fever, and the only cure is more cowbell. I might be mixing my memes on that one. I don't know. But, all right. Well, so what have we been doing in roleplay? Okay. By show of people that are left-handed, who wants to go first?
Asshole.
Anybody? Okay, I'm not left-handed. I can honestly, if you see me throw if you see me throw like a ball left-handed, I make like 2-year-old girls look very athletic. It is not a pretty picture. So I'm not left-handed. Sib,
I know. I'm not.
Strafe?
listening. I'm sorry.
Right-handed all the way.
that's the way God intended it. Jazz, what hand do you use?
My left. Yeah.
Uh-huh. What a surprise, an unbeliever. That's God's way of punishing you so that you can never use scissors comfortably or find an operational mouse. Sinner.
Something like that, yeah. It's really. Let's just not.
That's what it feels like, isn't it?
Right now.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
All right. You know what, Jazz? Because I pick on you so hard, you deserve to tell your shitty, stupid story. Not that she was being shitty or stupid, that she met somebody that was just shitty and stupid.
They weren't really shit. Well, okay. Yeah,
They weren't shitty. He was.
No, he was shitty for being just a shitty human being and not knowing words.
No, he wasn't a shitty human being.
He's
He's
a
just
horrible.
ignorant. He was
I
just
rest my
ignorant.
case, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's so wrong. That's so ignorant.
Oh man, it's so ignorant. Oh no, it's the
I went
it's
in
the
to
Michael
try
Jackson duo.
No, but make it
I went to be quiet. I went to Best Buy to try because the Walmart had nothing. Shock and surprise. So I went to Best Buy in Ames, which is about a 45-minute drive away from me, with my son to go try to find a mouse. And I go into Best Buy because that's your best bet in a place void of tech for the most part. And I walked into the back and I couldn't find the mice. And I finally found them, but there was just this little bitty area. And I was like, this is all you have?
It's not
So
what
I
it
said-
used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So my son went to go look for more. He did find some. There was all across 15 feet away. There was another bunch of mice. Why they separated them, I don't know. But anyway,
Segregation's in apartheid. It's alive and well in Best Buy.
the guy came to me and he's like, "What are you looking for?" And I was like, "I'm looking for."
No, hold on, Jazz. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that part properly for it. What y'all looking for?
No, he said. Well, he did say y'all. He said, "What y'all looking for?" Anyway, you were close. He asked me what I was. I said I was looking for an ambidextrous mouse. He says, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, please God." I looked at him. I said, "What is what? You don't know what a mouse is in Best Buy?" And he said, "No, I know what a mouse is." And it's like, "What's an that word you used? I don't know it." And I was like,
Remember, people, you send your children to public school. Congratulations.
I was like, it's the person who uses both hands.
State-run
so you're
public school, no
left-handed.
less.
Well, yes, I am left-handed, but I'm also ambidextrous. He just looked at me blankly. So anyway, top and short is that he could not fathom using a left-handed mouse for anything. They didn't have any. They had one that was an ambidextrous mouse. And they didn't have any there. The shelf was empty. So he goes back to the warehouse, I guess, talking on his little microphone, comes back, picks one up off a different mouse, hands it to me and says, this is the same thing. I was like, no, that's a mouse. Well, yeah, but it's the same thing. You can use it the same way. No, I can't. It's not for left-handed people. It's for right-handed people. But it works the same way. I just turned around and walked out. I was...
It works the same way, Chaz.
I went to Staples, and they didn't have any left-handed or ambidextrous mice at all either, but at least the gentleman that I asked about it was like, oh, no, we don't have those, sadly. I'm ambidextrous myself. And the lady standing next to him goes, what's ambidextrous?
Oh, good Lord.
And he just kind of went, sigh. He was like,
Did you
"I
tell
feel
it?
your
Did you
pain."
pull him off to the side? I was at Best Buy. I think that's his mom.
They said they didn't know at Best Buy either. It's kind of sad.
Oh, that's too
Yeah.
bad.
So that's why I'm picking Jazz for being a lefty. Wait. I mean, she is also politically a lefty, but she's also physically one, too. Just like Ned Flanders, which is strange because they're probably very, very different. Hidely ho. What have you been doing in RP, Jazz?
Well, I'll have to read it because I wrote some stories.
I saw. Let's hear it.
Okay, first. Sully sat by the table moving her oatmeal around, picking out the raisins in her mind 1,000 miles away. The meeting with the Dres gentleman had gone well, and not only had she earned some points with him by offering political favor for the information she needed, she earned points with Boss Kia for doing the meeting in the first place. There was no real downside here, so why was she feeling a bit closed in today? She sat there and licked her spoon of some of the stray bits of oat mixed with cream and honey, enjoying the honey's sharp taste mingled with starchy oats. Her eyes touched on the meeting last night, reliving the conversations between her father and her, between her former mouth Draven and her, and watching the interactions with Kaio as well. Kaio was fascinating to her with his nuanced behavior and quick mind. No, not in a sexual way, although he was certainly handsome enough. But no, he had other tastes, and hers were more ingrained to the angry males she courted. She did like her males, surly and intense. She couldn't help it. Sully chuckled, realizing how much of her taste centered around her mother and father and the personality they had given her mixed neatly with their own, her mother's biting and mercurial personality. She sighed and finished her oatmeal, heading outside to see to her workout. After puttering in the garden for a while, she focused on her slow-motion battle dance, keeping a steady rhythm that toned her muscles and kept her in shape. Her mind drifted to Draven, upset because she had called him kind-hearted after his rant about sexual harassment, whatever that was, and being protective of the females in his life. As if being a vampire was enough, hunting and killing to slake his thirst, somehow negated how incensed he was at the smallest innuendo. She couldn't help but wonder what female created this behavior in him, because it certainly wasn't brought on by a male, so hilarious that it was so bothersome to him when a male made advances, and did that. If you said no and they don't listen, then you get irritated and fight. But by the three, not if they took your no and buggered off. She chuckled and shook her head as she felt her annoyances rising again, causing her to miss a step. She paused, reset her stance, and started over. Clicking her tongue. Honestly, Sully, keep your emotions in check. What are you, 12? She snorted and resumed her workout, and the afternoon moved on.
Aw. So, what's the other one? I know because I can see it.
Yes. Ciel sat on the roof, watching Kia and her child out in their garden, with Trajan nearby doing push-ups and talking with his two females. She smirked, tilting her head from her leafy perch, studying their interactions. She'd always done this spying. It was something that fed her deep in her soul, and she'd always return to each person to watch every few days once they were selected. She tried to watch Kia at least twice a week. She watched Trithalis every day for a few hours at a time. She followed and watched over half a dozen people from their local haunts as they took care of errands and spoke with people. Some of them had some pretty interesting friends, she smirked. Kia had used her talents for years once she realized that Ciel was good at it. Ciel wondered for a moment if Kia realized that she was a target too. Watching her was fascinating, if only because of all the various nasty and shady people she associated with all the time. Her leg tingled and she shifted her perch to accommodate it. It happened off and on these days and likely always would. A broken neck has long-lasting effects, she muttered to herself, repeating the words of the bone weaver, which was a friend of Kia's and had helped her in her time of need. Kia had given her a laundry list of people to follow just yesterday and again the day before. Her job was to find them, follow them, and report what she observed. Easy enough, she supposed, but today was a lazy, warm day and perfect for spying on her favorite targets. She grinned and shifted again, getting comfy. It was going to be a long day indeed, and she had 2 more visits to make. Her eyes watched, but her mind wandered back to the conversation with Jael. If she had not been interrupted by Sejoris, what would he have said, done? She was curious. Was he there to kill her? No, that made no sense. He was the only reason she survived her ordeal. Why do all that just to kill her now? No, he had plans for her, and he was likely the one that had somehow made her sleep deeply enough to be missing being bathed and dressed in that horrific dress and that binding... What was it called? She frowned. Oh yes, corset. How embarrassing when she woke up in the dress and panicked, ripping the dress to shreds and ruining whatever his plan may have been. Berthala showed up and got the binding thing off her, and once she could breathe again, she calmed. Still, Jael would pay for that. Her eyes darkened as she watched, and her mind spent some time in dark deliberations on what she might do to him if she ever got the chance.
Very nicely done.
Sounds like good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, so... Sorry, I got something in my throat there. How about you, Sib? What you got?
What I have is, let's see, I went on another fishing trip with my friend Terminal.
Never fish and shit at the same time. It's not good for the fish.
But I went on a fishing trip with Terminal again, and we just went down below the bridge by the Abbey, and everything started out cool. He was telling me how he had got flirted with, and she thought it was funny, and she explained to him that she had been asked to be courted, and so she was kind of, and she's like, I'm just too busy. You know, she tried to explain to him why she would not want to be courted, that she's too focused on her Abbey studies, like for the Alma Civi and everything, and it just wasn't what she wanted right then. So, but it was fun. They didn't catch anything with the regular fishing poles, and Roger, she had visited with Roger and Nathala a couple of weeks ago, and he had told her about spearfishing. So she's like, well, let's try this. And so they start spearfishing and everything's going really good. Well, there's blood in the water from the other fish, and he's doing great. And she's just getting the fish from him and putting him in the basket. Well, apparently a slaughterfish got attracted to the blood and ended up biting him. And it ended up being a big ordeal. She had to heal him, and it wasn't as much fun as the last trip just because he got hurt. But they did have a good time, and she said that she would take the fish and cook some up and come visit him later in the week, which I didn't get to do because I got sick 2 days this week, so I didn't get to RP Tuesday night and Wednesday night. I was in game Monday for training on my ordinator, and we did portals, yeah, which was a lot of fun. The high ordinator of war, Tarvala, split us off into groups, and for some reason I had one of the people I was split off with kept just opening portals and running through, and finally Knight's like, okay, I'm done, don't do it again. And next thing she knows, he's opening a portal, running through it, and he knocks himself out, basically running into a tree, and she's like, I'm done. And she just walks away. But the other person she was grouped with was really willing to learn, and it was kind of nice because they kind of just, after the poor guy knocked himself out, they worked on making portals. So, and then I did go to the conclave on my clergy. Didn't have a lot going on there. They got assigned chores, but I just don't have time to do that kind of RP because usually I have something going every night because I actively RP in 2 different guilds. And then I just added WoW to the rotation on my nights. I want to try to check out WoW. I've got one of my good friends is playing in the game. He loves it. Ericus/Caves. So I miss hanging out with him. So I decided I'd go check it out. It also helps that my older brother plays WoW. So that's where you can find me on Friday nights. I know nothing about the game, so it's all going to be a learning experience. I have heard there's RP there. I don't know where to find it. So if you are in WoW and you want to reach out to me and kind of poke me in the right direction, it would be greatly appreciated. And my other thing I RP'd was Thursday night at Alano Guild Night. My character Vollis put together a axe throwing contest, and it was a lot of fun. We had actually, she and Trath, her in-game relationship mate, I should say now, they had done a little practice to see how it was going to work out, and it was a lot of fun actually doing that with Sherfay's character. Of course, he won. Then when we did the competition on Thursday night, I didn't plan on even being a part of it, but I ended up going into it, and I ended up winning, and I felt horrible, but it was a lot of fun. People got to roll the dice. 2 people would throw at a time. They would both roll, see how they did. They got 3. It was the best 2 out of 3 wins. And once they rolled, they got to do their emote on how they did on the throwing. So everyone seemed like they had a good time. I had a lot of fun. So that was basically my week.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. I know.
Wow, nice.
There was a lot of shit talking.
There was. It was great fun. Everybody got into it. It was a lot of fun.
It's fun when it's like around a competition and stuff like that. And it's all lighthearted and there's not really any ego involved. That my character was equally shit talking all of you, and I thought I had fun.
Yeah,
I like the Batman
hilarious.
of trolling in that episode.
Yes, Mix is a great troll.
Yeah, he's an equal opportunity offender, as we all should be.
Indeed.
Quite the Dunmere.
So,
and of course, my character is an orc, and she always hits on him. It never fails. She's always winking at him, telling him how much, he's her hot, sexy Dunmere.
Yeah, I'm the one that's always drinking, huh? Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go next, and Strafay, I'll have you be our anchor, our bedrock.
Proud to be the foundation, sir.
That's right. So I'm just gonna read off of Vollis Journal here, and it sums up a lot of the big stuff. So, hello, Mr. Journal. It's been a rough few weeks. The battle with Sarthos continues. Currently, they are under a blockade in Kraganmore by the Tribunal, Indoril, and Redoran joint forces. Nobles. I honestly don't understand them. I mean, pride is one thing, but hubris is quite another. I'm honestly not even sure what they want. I mean, then again, I'm only about keeping people in or out, so I suppose it's not really up to me to need to know, but the negotiations are being handled by people elsewhere. So, on to more cheery topics. Maybe. We had training for those that didn't either know or needed to practice creating portals. However, I thought Fomor would know how, then didn't, and I was exactly wrong. 2 out of every 3 of our ordinators were incapable of creating a stable portal. I had those, but I had those that could help teach those that could not. So it was basically 2-on-1 training. I used a steel bar at the beginning to show the dangers of a portal closing on the bar while still inside it, and of course it was cleanly and effortlessly cut in two. And yet, that still wasn't enough. Training initiate Kis Journal, who stubbornly kept pushing himself, only to have the act of opening a portal down pat, but keeping it open, a struggle he could not seem to overcome, I noticed something else. My now newest member of War, Don Shear, falling from the sky out of his portal 12 bloody feet off the ground. I've no idea what possessed this madman to keep running into his barely stable portals that were opening in wrong locations and to continue to charge into them each and every time. Nithid, for her part, tried to get him to stop, but he just kept charging to the point he ended up knocking himself out and injured. Which was probably the best outcome, given the other would have been us scraping his innards into a waste bin and hoping enough rain would come and wash the blood out of the stonework before it stank. I swear if he turns out to be another Samuel, running in without thinking, I'm going to close a portal on him myself and put him out of my misery. As is, he has 2 weeks to learn to follow orders and to the T, and learning to open and hold a portal properly for 3 minutes without running through it at a location of my choosing. After that, he gets to fight me for the chance to use the weapon of his choice, a sword apparently. And don't get me wrong, he's a decent mer, but in war you must use your head as much as your muscle. If he wants to be a muscle-bound meathead, he should have joined Redarin. Anyway, I've not had a lot of personal time with the looming possibility of war between houses on the horizon. A bit of time at the tea house a week ago, but that's pretty much all there's been. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, I like what I do, so it'll have to sustain me, right? And here come the scout reports for Kraganmore. Well, back to work, Mr. Journal. Hopefully next week I'll have something more interesting to report. Alright, I really need to start proofreading that. Man.
Bam.
I corrected some of the typing errors, but not all of them.
It was the grammatical ones. So, but yeah. So that's what I did. That was the most of it. There's a big snafu with one of the listeners, Jay the Exile, whose Sarthos Guild is kind of incited a kind of a house civil war among the Dunmer in a lot of ways, and it's been a lot of fun, a lot of interesting. It's gone rather smoothly overall. I'd actually kind of be interested to see, because it's such a large scale roleplay. I was actually wondering if we could get some of the ones involved in that have been helping coordinate it, how it all started. Because it's not often you get to do large scale roleplay with literally hundreds of people and like over 100. Sorry, with hundreds of people involved between all the guilds here. People like the chat and Gangsy Girl, she's one of them. There's a whole bunch of people that listen to the show that are actually all directly involved with that. So might be something. There's no resolution yet, but I know there's, all the behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's not anything snipey or like, oh my, but just the negotiations, trying to figure out, nobody, other than the original people that created it, there's not really a lot of player-killer stuff. No one's really wants to be PK'd because characters are hard to come by, and nobody wants to just give that up. So to find your way through that maze to create an interesting narrative, knowing as with most roleplay that it's not going to end in death, it's kind of, it's interesting, and it's, some people don't care for that, but I mean, those are the same people that could watch like the same TV show, like, any of those CW DC comic shows like Arrow or something like that, knowing that nobody's really going to get killed off. But they'll watch it over and over again, and every time they'll be like, oh, are they going to make it? So it'd be it might be something I have to throw out to those people involved to see if we could get a couple people and maybe do a live interview of how that all got put together and started. Give kind of a real world example from people actually doing it that's outside of just our perspective as well. So it might be something to consider. So while we do that, hey, Straffe.
How's it going, buddy?
What you been doing in roleplay, buddy?
What have I been doing in roleplay?
Dun, dun, dun.
As for Kis Journal, you know, that noble bandit turned ordinator, respectable even. Well, I had to have a long chat with the meathead Zaz. Apparently he thought it was a grand idea to go have a casual fling in a graveyard. Came back to his place and bragged about it. I, of course, told him he was a savage idiot and not to go back. But no, that did not get through his brain. He was thinking, of course, with the wrong head. So eventually I did convince him to allow me to go with him. And good thing I did. I saved his sorry hide from becoming a werewolf's chew toy. Suffice to say, the battle was swift and bloody, and we both had to go get a cure potion immediately, because I did not want to eat Tarvala's sword in the throat, because I grew some extra hair out of my ear. I was fine. It seemed that Zaz was sick for a few days. Apparently he got bit worse than he knew. One can only imagine where he got bit. Personally, I do not wish to know. With that in mind, I strode into the grand compound they called the temple. High walls, wrought iron spikes on top, you know, just like a prison. Casually got dressed and waited for the day's boot. And oh, what a boot it was. Apparently, our lovely, well-endowed commander, or is she a high ordinator now? Forgive me, Journal. She is a high ordinator now. Let me stretch that out just so. Decided we needed portal training. And asked how many of us knew how to create a portal. Well, of course, there was about 5 of these nobles that actually lived through the whole noble experience that were well taught, well educated, and they all went to the side grinning at us. If you can see a grin, this golden mask. I myself just saw hordes of huge amounts of sweat pouring into my eyes the entire training, and the rest of us went to the other side of the room, or the Bailey, as it were. Suffice to say, we were then told the merits of saving our skin, saving our fellows, this and that, and I thought casually to myself, if I did know how to create a portal, I suspect I would have been long out of here long ago. But, sadly, that option is no longer open to me, as I put on the mask, and now I'm one of their faceless minions in gold. So, I got the unhappy task of performing it for Nafala and Tarvala. Both fine women in their own right, both with massive attitudes. Oh, however, Tarvala would, when she was still in gold, come drink with the lesser of the army, as it were. Her look these days mirrors that of her fellow silver hats. So, try as I may, I was able to open a few portals. This, of course, drew the ire of Tarvala, saying, you can open one. Clever. Now keep it open. Me not wanting to drop a challenge, decided I'll do her one better. I focused on my old hideout, managed to open a portal, but sadly, I had already expended too much of my magicka trying on other attempts, so I failed miserably. However, she did catch a glimpse of where it was. I then got berated for my efforts, and the night went on that way. Finally, I joined Zaz in the hall, grabbed a quick bite, and by a quick bite, I mean I ate a kebab. He ate a hog's trough worth of who knows what was left. The man is a swine, I swear. Or he's a Nord in disguise. I have not discounted that fact that he paints himself every night, pretends to be a Dunmer. Although how he got his ears pointed is beyond me. Suffice to say, he decided to go regale everyone in his loincloth because, well, who really knows what happens in Zaz's brain? At the end of the night, I beat a hasty retreat back to my apartment in Vivek City, locked the door once, twice, thrice, and set a trap. hoping not to see that meathead again until tomorrow. And that was my RP on Kis Journal. As for Trath,
That was hilarious.
You're water.
Yeah.
You're still water fat.
Water fat.
well, when one travels all the way to Skyrim and all the way to the northern Black Marsh, peddling his ill-gotten trade along a high road, one tends to forget how bloody hot it is on the mainland of Vardenfell. That's an addendum for Kis Journal.
Oh,
Water
I
fat.
I did tell Ashen, I was like, you should give Kis Journal to Knife to make him less water fat.
Gosh.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work on getting his innate Dunmer ability to resist heat. I mean, he's clearly lost it. That's just gonna.
Yep.
We're gonna have to do a 1980s style montage. It's the only way to get it back. That's all I can see.
Hearts on fire. Yeah, we'll do
It's
that.
a
It'll be fun.
montage.
I
As
was
for
thinking
Trath,
the Eye of the Tiger. Sorry.
oh, Eye of the Tiger would be great.
That's another good one. There's a good one. All right, so
Okay,
Trath.
sorry.
I dig it.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll do that. It'll be fun. So Trathalis decided he would surprise his pale, fierce orc maiden with a bottle of mead, a rather expensive bottle of mead he found in High Rock, and bring over a couple of books on Magicka, one of which being mysticism, the other illusion, as she was complaining from terrible dreams, that of which she has not completely revealed. He strode in the door and heard the sound of steel striking wood and cruised around to the back of her place and found her just so, throwing axes into stacked targets. He watched her for a while, quite amused, so she turned around and almost tripped on herself as he sat there with that bottle of mead. Suffice to say, she berated him for standing there and not saying anything, and the two exchanged pleasantries, and then she issued a challenge. I bet you can't beat me in axe throwing, or some such. She does speak rather charming, even though it is common. And, of course, I accepted. Her terms were my fine surcoat, of which I knew I wasn't going to lose. And I said, I accept your challenge. She said, you never asked for your prize. And I, being the clever-witted Altmer I am, said, I suppose I didn't. Let's get this contest underway. She did well, but I suspect she already burnt her arm out earlier, practicing on her own. And after 3 quick rounds, the victor clearly was the better mer. I did see a bit of agitation in her eyes, which was quickly dispelled when I simply took my surcoat off, wrapped it about her, and said, "There you are, darling. Fair is fair." She then asked me what I wanted. I said, "I simply wish a dance, darling." This, of course, caught her with shock and horror. As she looked down at her feet and looked up and said, I really don't know how to dance, Silverleaf. Which brought me a grand smile. I said, "Fret not, darling. Do you trust me?" She said she did. "Take my hand, follow me, and try not to stomp my toes." Luckily for me, my toes remained intact. We had a grand dance, and the evening went on quite well. However, I did wake up with a bit of a sore arm. Being that the contest was coming up at Guild Night, I suspected there was some skullduggery involved to keep me from winning at the proper contest. Who can really say? Suffice to say, when the Guild Night came, I lost spectacularly. However, I did win the practice round, all 3 of them. Or was it 2? It doesn't matter. I won, and I know I won at the end. We did have a rather rare visit from Lord Nex, our resident transient brigand of the road, Dunmer chap, who delighted in berating everyone. He is a charming sort, but he did get quite vexing when I was throwing my axes. I suspect he didn't know I was sabotaged. I'm still investigating the matter. Till next time, Journal.
Nah, he's just a dick.
Yeah, that was fun. I did that off the seat of my pants. I didn't have time to write anything. Driving 5 hours south was kind of crazy last night.
Oh,
That was very
good
well done.
stuff. Good stuff. So,
Thank you.
You guys just like to make me look bad because I don't tell mine in story version. Thanks, guys.
oh, You don't
You
need
couldn't
help
look
with
bad.
that.
Did you guys both
Oh
say that
my
at the same
God.
There's a conspiracy, Sibs. I'm just saying.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's ignorant.
Ignorant. Oh man, it's ignorant.
It's okay.
So, all right. Well, with that, before we hit our main topic, I think we should probably see a word from our sponsors. You good, Sib? Did you see your part?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, without further ado, as we say way too often on this show, and I don't know why, but let's go to a word from our sponsor. Are you lonely? Do you worry about being the only one of your friends that have no friends? Do you think with just the right person, you could be in roleplay forever? Well, wake up, Dumpy. You don't have to die alone after all, at least not in-game. Join the new dating app, Low Expectation Roleplayers. With our new app, you can find amazing matchups with the sad and pathetic just like you. Someone you can pester the moment they log in. Stalk on and offline. Get to be involved with and mix your character's emotional feelings with your own. Just like this young lady.
I might secretly hate my kids and family in real life or in the real world. But in game, I'm looking for someone real to connect with. Someone who I can have fake made up babies with that can love and raise and that I can love and raise at an accelerated rate. So we can play them too.
Or how about this man? I'm looking for a woman I can really get to know. A special lady that knows the world and can do anything she puts her mind to. Including my dick! A solid foot long, hells yeah! Just looking for a woman that makes an hourglass say, damn! You know, that special someone. Download the Low Expectation Roleplayers app today. A connection that lasts a short part of a lifetime.
Oh man, I think I've met some of those people. Need to
No, it's a little disturbing.
I'm scared. I'm
Yeah.
scared, Ashen.
Well, you know, modern technology is an amazing thing. I don't know why we haven't. I personally, I think this is $1 billion app easily. I'm expecting what's his face from Facebook to knocking on our door any day with a briefcase full of money to want to buy this thing up. I have a good feeling about it. So
I don't.
yeah. So before we get into our real topic real quick, I want to say anybody that wants to chime in, anybody listening live, of course, if you're listening on the podcast, it's a little difficult to do it after the fact because it's already recorded, and that would be an amazing bit of technology. Go ahead and go to rpmmoradio.com/Discord and join our Discord server. And just throw yourself in our caller waiting room where our call screener, Rahanar, will be there to make sure that all your stuff is working and let us know real quick what you got on your mind so we at least have a heads up. So with that, let's go ahead and go to our main topic today, brought to you by Sibs, because it seems to happen a lot, especially to the females. I've noticed it happens to men too, of course, but ladies, it's gotta suck to be in a woman at times when it comes to.
Did you say suck? Really?
Yeah, it's gotta suck to be a woman when you have to be around. Men all the time.
Sibbies, for all your Lakeview accessories,
pathetic men.
Your Twilight Blasters, and your slave costumes.
That's right.
Back to you, Ashen.
My. But so she kind of had wanted to do something on this just because it does seem to happen a lot. I mean, I've seen it with with her. I've seen it with you, Jazz, Yoon Faye, Vinka, Shard. basically anybody that is a woman and plays a woman in an MMO and role plays.
And it's not just women. I mean,
No,
No,
it just
a
it
lot
happens
of
more
girls that play
predominantly.
Girls, yeah, there's always a lot.
Yeah. So, basically, what are we talking about? Well, relationship roleplay, and we're not talking about ERP. ERP is going to have its own thing. This is actually just the act of relationships. So and when it comes to relationship roleplay, I know we've touched on it in the past. It comes up in conversations and things like that we've done in the past on creating characters and interactions with people, and it is, it can be fun to love someone, like your character rather, because if you love them, it's a little creepy. But for your character to love somebody in the game, and especially people that are hopeless romantics, like my wife, Sib, who is absolutely a hopeless romantic.
I am such a hopeless romantic. It's so sad.
Yeah, I like.
I got admission, Ashton.
Yes.
I'm the same way. It's sad.
What?
I'm also a hopeless romantic.
Oh, I'm a
not just a
romantic.
lady.
I'm a romantic. I'm not. I would definitely say I'm far from hopeless, because I'm a realistic romantic.
Right. Totally.
I just am. I don't know. I don't also get, like, oh, I've got to get there and do that. And yeah, Octavia Memories. A lot of girls are actually playing guys, and that's what I say. It's really not specifically gender based on exactly what we're talking about. It does just seem to happen that, just like a bar, more women tend to get hit on at a bar than guys do.
That's true.
It's just kind of the way the world works. And especially when everyone is super duper hot, except for, people that play orcs, it tends to happen more often.
And I do, one of my main characters is an orc.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even put that together.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the irony.
I hear she gives great tusk.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
No.
Oh, goodness.
What?
Where your mind goes. Anyway.
So the thing of it is, though, is there's a time and a place for it. Like when you go and bring it up. So, for example, don't go in don't go into your role play with the specific mindset of looking for a relationship. Like that's all you want. You want to find somebody to romance and be in a relationship.
That's the wrong approach, man.
Yeah.
Now,
whether you're
true story.
Don't do that.
Yeah, true story. We had a person that joined our guild here in ESO and was asked, what is your talent and what is your goal? And she said her goal was to find someone to have a relationship with. And she really didn't have any talents.
Because if there's anything that turns men on, it's a talentless individual.
God.
It was just like...
Now, I'm not going to be the creepy millennial that I heard was talking about how they would like to redo Hooters, where he wouldn't go to a Hooters, not because the food's garbage, but because he wants to have a real conversation with a woman, somebody that would sit there at the restaurant, the Hooters girl in the tight shirt, the short shorts, mind you, and listen to his problems and the things that deals, and have a real connection.
Excuse me?
Is that real?
Yeah, that was a real thing. Because it's some...
Say what, McFly?
Because if there's anything... I'm just going out there based on every job I've had, I wouldn't give a shit what your problem is. But if you're going to tip well, I'll sure pretend to.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
But
well,
yeah,
if it gets you tips, hell yeah.
But that's the thing. They're waitresses. Have you ever been like a really good waitress? The ones that are like, hey, hon, how's it going? They're all like, yep. Oh, yeah, she's super sweet and she was really cool. I'm going to give her a good tip. She was a great waitress. But I don't go there like, well, here's how my... I read through the entire thing of how he would restructure it, and it was... I think what he was looking for was a therapist or his mom, not somebody that served shitty chicken wings in a really tight shirt. Anyway, sorry. Sidebar. But you don't want to be with people looking for that kind of relationship. That's where I'm going at.
No.
So, it's like anything in roleplay. You don't want to get, tangled up in something that, makes you not enjoy it, or the experience of it, the roleplay, or makes you even worse, makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sib, anything to say on that?
I mean, when I go in to RP, I really just go in to meet people. And I don't go in looking for, I feel like I want to get to know people. Before I even consider relationship RP, I want to get to know you. I mean, it's just like becoming friends with somebody. You just don't walk up to somebody and go, "You're my friend."
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Hi.
Well, CL does, but
Right, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. You can't be like Doug the dog, like, I know this is crazy. I just met you and I already love you. Squirrel!
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are we going to be friends now and date? Whoa.
Yeah, seriously.
Whoa, take a breath there. Whoa,
It needs to be
whoa.
It needs to be organic, and it needs to like follow the story, and just follow the freaking RP. Just don't go looking for it. Just
Right.
go looking for role play, and things happen. Whether it's cool story arcs, adventures. Maybe that other warrior chick kind of winked at you during a combat, and you're like, oh hey, what's that all about? You never know.
Yeah, well, and there's two. Then the thing is, there's two sides to romance. RP. There's the character side, but then there's also the side where you have to be able to know enough about the person OOC as an actual person to be able to trust that they're not gonna go.
Full crazy?
Drive across, for example, on this show, drive across the country, not telling their family, and show up on your couch one day.
Poor Unifei.
Yeah,
Right.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, as has happened to our Yunfei. Who, by the way, new purple hair, looks amazing. Looks really
Yes.
good. It's very
She
cute.
needs to post that in the general chat
she
so
does.
everybody can see her purple hair. It's
That's
adorable.
But it's you have to you have to build a trust and an understanding between it's something that happens if you really find somebody that you're good role play buddies with. I call role play partners, role play buddies, whatever. But you do get to know them on kind of a personal level. Like I know a few people in the guild, and I know them well enough to be like, know that maybe they're having a hard time, or they're getting a new job, or I know a little bit about them. I don't need to know because of who I am, really want to know their entire backstory just right off the bat, like personal backstory. I'm far more interested in their made-up one, but that's because I'm just an asshole. So, but you really. If you don't have a trust and understanding with the role player involved, that's when you get the creepy stalker things, and there's certain rules against that, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But
It's like a lot of things in your life. You have to work at it and figure out,
yeah,
is this going to work between your character and this other person's character? And it is a commitment.
it is.
In
There
a
is
way,
commitment
it
to
is a commitment.
It is. Like you said, it's in a lot of ways. It's like getting into a real relationship, because there are some expectations, and not all the time. But if you're in a relationship, you kind of expect that every now and then, when you're both on, that your characters would kind of need to not hook up to that way in the biblical sense, but hook up and chat and talk and. Or do, like you, Sib, you and Strafei, you guys are always, when your characters are off, what did you do? You were throwing axes.
Yeah.
And for a change, not at each other.
And yeah. And I was about to say, if you're gonna, it's kind of like a
Very
real.
true.
It didn't evolve into a domestic violence situation, but it could have.
But it could have, and you need to accept that sometimes even like a regular relationship, it's not always going to be fun.
Which
Yeah.
is why
You need to
Kia
roll
said
that.
what she said to her.
Yeah. And
Do you remember that?
Sometimes.
She
No.
said that.
which part?
The other night,
Which part?
Yeah, when Volly and Kia were standing next to each other, and she says, I trust over?
Say it,
She was, yeah, because
you,
Say it again, you cut out.
yeah, you cut out there. Say that one more time.
That if the hitting was over, she asked.
Oh, yes,
She
yeah.
asked Volly
Yeah.
if the
Oh,
hitting
yeah.
was over.
Yeah.
Volly's been nervous about being around Kia because Trithalis is Kia's uncle, and yeah, she's punched him, and they've gone not, it's not been a smooth road.
Some days you're kissing her hand. Some days her hand's kissing you straight in the nose.
Right. And see, and that's the thing
Not
too.
the fun way.
If it just like in anything, there's now in a fake role play relationship, it can actually be more fun to have an argument than say a real one in a real relationship.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it is Jazz, our two characters, Zanus and Vaccarina, when they were married and together, man.
They had several doozies.
Yeah, they never came. They may have came to blows, but it was usually during sparring, and then they just took it too far. But they verbally they could really hurt each other, and then they would have to apologize after the fact, and but they could really, when they had a disagreement, which didn't happen often, but man, when it did, it was always something big, But that can actually be fun, whereas in real life, not so much.
Yeah, I don't find fighting a lot of fun.
No, not really.
But in relation, when you're RPing it out, it can actually be almost therapeutic to have that and to work it through, particularly for people like me who worry about every argument is your last one.
Mm-hmm.
So, that because of my childhood, it was always personal. So when I get mad at someone and they get mad at me, I think they're never going to speak to me again. So I can be very nervous, even when it's just IC. And as you will remember, I would say, no, we're not really mad at each other, right? I would always check.
Yeah, and I'd always be like, no, as long as you aren't. And and I don't take it to that extent, but I'm one of those people that I Garibaldi it from Babylon 5, where he had once said that for those that don't know, he was the head of security on the Babylon 5 space station, played by Jerry Doyle, who we've lost, unfortunately. He was a good guy. But he had said once that anytime he goes into, if he goes into a conversation or he knows he's going to a conflict, in his head, he's already got 50 different scenarios of where this thing's going to go out, and the responses. Right. And that's how my head works too. I can't, even when it's something stupid and mundane, I am always, my head, that's just where I go, So if somebody says one thing, I'm like, did they mean this, and this, and it just travels out of control. It's irritating as fuck when you're trying to go to sleep.
Overanalyzation.
Yeah, I've very, very overanalyzed pretty much everything, but it kind of comes in handy in roleplay because there's not a lot of scenarios that can catch me off guard or with my pants down.
Well, even when you do have the fights, it does often spawn other roleplay for other people. Like, for instance, Kia found out that her uncle got busted in the nose or the lip, whatever. I don't remember which. But then that spawned a whole conversation there, and she was like, "Oh, y'all don't need this and that," and then that spawned something else when another tune saw what was going on, and it just keeps building, and it actually creates a whole new thing for people to play with. So it's it can be good.
Yeah, and a lot of it's like all role play. It has a domino effect. Eventually, those dominoes might come to an end, but if there's just like you were saying, Sib, with Volly punching Strafe's character in the nose, it brought Jazz's character into the mix. So you're beating up on my nephew, are you? Kind of there's little dynamics that can spin off of that stuff. But like you guys were saying, though, it has to be organic. If you're just going up to people, like we said, and you're doing Doug, like we're best friends now, or you want to do a role play, or happens to Sib quite often, where she'll just out of the blue, like, you want to be in a relationship? It's like, dude, I don't even didn't you have some guy you didn't even you hadn't even spoken to them yet? They just sent you a tell out of the blue, something like that.
Yeah. I was standing in the middle of, I think it was Ebonheart. One of the little towns. I was standing in the middle of it, getting ready to go to the Wayshrine, and I had a guy walk up to me. I was on my Nord character, And he just sent me a tell. He's like, your character is so pretty.
And
Would you wanna
FYI, her
Would you
Nord
want to
is
be
a
in a
babe.
relationship with my character? He's like, I don't know anybody. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
I wish
It's-
you luck, but
I have a hard time because I am so nice. I hate to be mean to anybody.
you are a pleaser.
And so it's like, I'm sorry, I gotta go now. And of course I'm talking to Straffe and Ericus, and they're both like, walk away right now, walk away.
Right.
We were warning her and trolling all at the same time.
Well, yeah, naturally.
It's hard. It's hard to be mean. and
But it's
say-
also, but at the same time, somebody just that you've not had a single, like, you've not even said hello. Like, the first thing he says to is, your character's beautiful. Would you like to do relationship role play?
I'm like, no.
No, dude. Like, no. I mean, I get you're new, but being new clearly, doesn't. It's still creepy, dude. Calm down.
Creepy.
It is hard for me to even do relationship RP because I just go into any situation, any RP situation with a character. I made Volli an orc thinking, okay, she won't get hit on. There won't be any reason, to worry about relationship RP. I was wrong all the way around on that one. Okay, I made Knife my ordinator, not thinking anything about relationship RP. I just went into RP, and she's in a relationship. I made Kilvin, and I'm like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want anything, I want her to focus on her Abbey studies and her duties at the Abbey. And she got asked if somebody could court her. And all I had done was just sit down and talk to this person a couple of times. I mean, she's not flirty. She's actually kind of awkward. Kilvin is. So I don't make my characters where they're just nice.
Yeah.
The princess, Kisdian's words.
Well, she's not even nice to kids.
No, she's the ice princess. That's his whole
Yeah.
joke.
About the only person she's nice to is Tervis, the one she's in a relationship with right now. But other than that, she's pretty standoffish with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just because of how her story has come, how her role play has come about.
Case in point, the first time that Trithaus saw Volli, they were all in summer. Like, we had just got the guild together. We were all in Skywatch. Trath showed them a proper wine hall. We could all sit there and listen to music and drink fine wines. And he's trying to be high society. Everybody else is kind of like, oh, what are we doing here? And at the time, he was literally courting Farah before she passed away. And he looked over and saw Volli, and he's like, oh, an Orsimer woman. How grand of you to join us. What's your name, darling? And she stuck her middle finger up her right.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah, and it wasn't something you guys. I mean, clearly a high elf and an orc. That was not something like. Well, I'm going to create this character to do that with. And that's another thing you can do. Creating two characters that. But at that point, if you're creating characters to be in a relationship, you already know each other. I know Sim and I have done that before.
We actually have characters that are actually in a relationship. We don't play them very often.
But they're still out there doing their thing. But it needs to happen organically, like what happened with Roger and Nathal. And when he gets in here, I'm sure we'll have him have him go over that again, because theirs is a great example. They didn't even know each other, and it just slowly happened. I mean, for them it was somewhat accelerated compared to some people, but it was still just two strangers. They both have she's married, he's not, and he's a younger guy, but they both understand the boundaries and things like that. Same thing with me and Jazz with our characters, Xanis and Vacarina. We went for 4 years knowing each other, and our characters knew each other that whole time too, but we never relationship. I mean, they were practically in a relationship in a lot of ways, but it wasn't an official thing. They were just close friends and confidants and things like that.
Yeah, I never created Trath for I was with the mindset of, oh, he's going to get married. It's like, no, I just wanted to play a high elf who was a fallen lord and he was a knight. I was like, this is going to be fun. Like, I can play a paladin with its lost his nobility pretty much.
Yeah.
And things with Farrah just developed. It just happened. Like, I was just talking to people, helped her find her shoes. You know, we'd always see each other on the deal, just kept talking, and then it evolved into that thing. You know, I never set out to go looking for this or that. You just got to play your character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure, you know, not Kizdian, but Roger did the same thing. He's, I'm going to play this Dunmer dude. And he probably just ran across Nathala, right?
Yeah, in the Abbey.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the best way to do it. You want to get to know people. And honestly, if you get to know people in who you RP with and learn their style of RP, I mean, you go into a relationship right off the bat, and they may
You'll be stomping on
they-
toes left and right.
yeah, they may do something totally different that you're like, oh, I didn't know about that.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to run right out and marry somebody off the street. It's not going to.
Yeah, and given this
What's
isn't
gonna
quite
happen?
that seriously, but it can
Yeah.
still be it can still put you in an ugly situation, especially these days. If you just met somebody and then you start sharing information or Facebook friending, and it can get pretty bad really fast. But there's the other thing too, like you were just saying, Sib, which is a good point. There's a lot of, I'm sure there's probably people that listen to the show here that don't agree with our way of role playing, maybe, and that's
Yeah.
fine. They're wrong, obviously.
Obviously wrong.
I mean, of course they're wrong because we're right
All
on
of it wrong.
everything. But there are people out there that have different kind of views. I think we have a more general, practical view, but there are outshoots and things like that, like the people Straffe was talking about that were playing gods and things like that. But
Oh, gosh.
if somebody has weird quirks and role play ideas or they start overstepping bounds or making, there was somebody that as soon as they get comfortable with someone, they start making presumptions, like they'll without asking, then that starts to put you in a pretty sticky situation. That like if they start god modding and metagaming on things without permission, which either one of those things is fine. Like, I mean, we've all done it. We're like, all right, so Jazz, our characters, haven't been together in a while, but off screen when we're not playing, they do their umph time, but they're also in the morning. They wake up together. They have their breakfast and their tea and quiet time together. But we just don't role play it out.
Right.
Are you cool with that? And she's like, yeah, that's cool.
I was fine with that.
And it's just how But to assume that if I came to her and said, all right, so I just throw out to her in the role play because in my head canon I've come up with last night they were rough and tumble and there was slapping and cheek pinching and and she's like, I mean, knowing Jazz, she'd be like, okay, but say if it wasn't Jazz, for example, someone might not be comfortable with that and be like,
Right.
I wish you had asked me that before you had just blurted that out as your character.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wrote things out. I had some pretty racy things that we had them do as a couple that were very vaguely stated, but I always submitted them to him first.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, make any changes that you want, tone it down if you want. And he would like highlight certain things, say, I don't want this, I don't want that. And I was like,
Yeah, and I was
fine.
like, yeah, maybe not have her in the gimp suit with the 2-foot dildo, but other than that, everything else was fine.
Gimp suit eating a taco.
Eating a taco. But everything else
God.
was great.
Terabad.
But that's the kind of stuff that you have to understand. Everyone's got slight, there's variations on the theme of the way people role play. Maybe the way they type, how fast they type is also a factor. For someone like Jazz, I know that's usually a factor because she's a snob.
I am not a snob, you ass.
But just like real relationships, even the RP ones, you need good communication like that. Even if you go, hey, there's an off-scene roleplay story I wrote. Get their approval. Let them read it.
Yes.
And like Ashton just said, and Jazz, if they want to change something, let them do it. And
Let
then
'em.
you look at it, communicate, and then everybody, both parties got to give it the thumbs up.
And
I mean, Google Docs.
I was
has
just gonna say that
changed
same thing.
everything.
There you
It's
go.
so handy for
when
role players.
I
when
love
Jazz and
Google
I did
Docs.
it was literally just sending emails back and forth, and then we would have to copy paste the email into Word, and then edit it in that, then paste it back into the email, and then
Yeah, it was such a pain in the ass.
now
the good old days.
Both sign up for Google Docs. Click share up in the corner,
You
and you
get a
both have
shareable
access to
link.
the
It's
the
awesome.
document. Yes, in real time, because I can
Yes.
tell you that's what we do our show off of is Google Docs, and I can see when someone's adding something to it in real time because they just had a thought or something like that. So it's great. So we're just throwing out Google Docs as it's the official document
They
of the show.
really are.
Yeah.
And I've used it for role play situations where your obviously time is constricted, but you want to do some RP event, and so I would write out my part, and then I'd say, okay, next it's your turn, and then they would write out their scene, and then it would pass to me. Google's is great for that because before, like you said, we had to use email.
It was email and back and forth
Yeah.
and
I had
hold
to
on,
cut
no,
these.
hold on, no, your version was different than mine, so it just comes up as a jumble of incoherent characters. So
God.
hold on, let me download okay, you need to update this to this.
Yeah, it was such,
Oh,
that's why we ended up using email, because at least then we could just copy paste it, and we both saved what each of us did in a Word document, and then we just went back and forth in email. It was just faster. But
The old
now,
days.
of course.
Man.
Yeah, it's
And that was
Google
over the
Docs.
days of dial-up.
Yep.
That's
All the
when it was
time.
really slow. Now it's so much faster. It's just amazing.
Yes. So, like we were saying, go ahead.
want to go back to that, just where you said that people have different styles of RPing.
Mhm.
And this is so true, as we were discussed on our last episode, or one of the last episodes, where Roger had bumped into trolls that actually RP'd.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
all different kinds of RP out there now. I mean, when I started, I thought, my group, that's how you did it. But as I'm learning, there's just so many people and so many different ways to RP. I mean, it's really,
Yeah.
you have to be aware of when you get into a relationship. Is it something, you're going to be able to work with? Or is it going to be like, I
and
can't do this.
some of it comes from the person's personality, and some of it comes from the people that basically taught them. Like, I taught you how to do it, so obviously your style is very close to mine. Jazz and Straffe and I, we've all been together for so long. Our styles, there are differences between it, but they're so close as to be nearly, unrecognizable, really. Most of that just comes down to the personality differences. But
We're like the Borg. We adapted to each other.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
We
we're
RP'd for so long in Silver Circle and other
Yeah.
games. We just our RP just kind of blended.
yeah, and at the same time, I bump into a lot of people. Kishmas. Kishmas is kind of a new addition to our little group here, and and his role play way is almost exactly like ours.
Yay.
And it's so are a lot of other people, and both of the guild, Alanu and Servants of the Tribunal. That's more of the, I like to think we're more in the middle ground, that we don't really go to one extreme. We've definitely done that role play as well, but when it comes to the base core, it's all the same. And if you don't know that, if you get one of those outliers, I can, like, one of my pet peeves is people that would type would in front of everything. Like, every sentence starts with would do this, or would do that, or would look at you, or it's like, it's an unnecessary word to me. Because if you could
this
put
moment
it in,
I heard wood like growing.
like wood, no, not
Of course you did, Jazz.
What kind of wood are you talking about, Jazz?
not morning wood, Jazz. Get your mind out the gutter.
Oh, Jazzy, Jazzy.
You
Gotta love
love
her.
me.
Oh, we do.
WOULD. Wold, because English is stupid. I don't know. The L is silent. Why? But that's a pet peeve of mine, and it does, I won't lie, it kind of turns me off to some people's role play when that's all, it's because it's such a pet peeve, but I just push through it. I understand it's a stupid one to have. It means absolutely nothing. The point gets across just as well, and they can be just as articulate afterward. But like things like that, it's just like in a real relationship. If somebody chews their nails it could be or whatever little thing. It could be a deal breaker. Like, I dumped a girl in high school because she didn't understand Far Side comics. That was my litmus test. I'm like, well,
that's a legit reason.
I was like, well, you're not smart enough. Sorry. And your sense of humor clearly doesn't match up to mine because that shit's brilliant. So thanks. I hope you had fun on the one and only date you're getting. Maybe it was petty, but I stand by it.
You being petty?
Shut up, stupid. No one likes you.
You do got to find people you trust though to roleplay with, because
Yes.
and it go to the bad place rather quickly.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. AT Vale in the chat says, I feel like people with similar styles mesh well together, and that's true. It's if your styles are very similar and you have a lot of the same views on it, of course, it's just like friends. If you guys all have, you're all, if you're trying to be friends with somebody that is all about sports and all they talk is about cars, and all you like is video games and comic books, you're probably not going to get along all too well. Not because you're bad to each other, just because you don't have enough common interest to keep talking. Like, what do you run out of things to talk about?
And some RP styles are actually very bad for other RP styles. My RP style, which is very random and very off the cuff, and I roll dice, and there's just a lot of chaos with what I do. To someone that likes scripted roleplay, I am just horrible.
Yeah, you're kryptonite.
Yeah.
And and it took I would say even around the time I was running Silver Circle, I was battling with that in my head.
We lost her.
She was still battling that with her head, but we lost you there for a sec, Jess.
Yeah, I'm losing connection again.
That's
there
all
we
right.
go.
All right.
Robot Jazz.
We'll hit back on that. But so moving to the other part here, if you are interested in starting a relationship in game, which is totally cool, but like we were saying, you got to get to know the players around you in your guild, if that's where you're at, the community, before you approach the subject. I know we were just talking about this, but it's worth repeating, because like we said, in a way, being in a relationship in game is very similar to being in a relationship in real life. Now, the chances of it ending in marriage are a lot smaller, at least in real life, but in game, you're probably a lot more likely to get married to somebody like that. So, you are making a commitment to that character, and not just that character, but also that person.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be an expectation that if your characters are together, that they're going to spend time together. So, and there do need to be ground rules, which we're going to go over a few here. But one thing I do want to say too is if you think that the only way to guarantee that you're going to find like an RP partner or an RP buddy or whatever you want to call it, is to like, I'm not saying going to trap them in a relationship, but that you have to be in a relationship with them, you're mistaken.
Yes.
Like I've had, I can't tell you the number of RP buddies I've had over the years, Vinka, Shard, there was no relationship involved. I'm picking ones of the opposite gender because, that's, I don't go the other way, so that's never was going to be a thing anyway. Strafe, for example, him and I we've been buddies and role played together for a long time. Then there's not an expectation of relationship there,
No.
Same thing with Jazz.
More of a He-Man Skeletor kind of relationship.
Yeah. And with Jazz, we've only had one character that was together. No other characters that we've ever created have. They might flirt, but it's really more of a kind of a sarcastic, like a friendly way of doing it. They're friends,
right? They're friends. We've had a lot of characters that were friends, but that's all.
And very close friends. But we've only had one that were a legitimate, like, hardcore married couple, and I've unfortunately known her for far longer than most people should.
Truth.
I mean, I've known her, like we said, I've known her longer than my own wife. I really have. I've known her longer than Sib, which is ridiculous, but that it's just how it goes. You don't need to lock somebody in a relationship or be seeking out. There was somebody in one of our guilds that, like, they just pined to get their character in a relationship, and the only reason I could think of is because they were looking for an RP buddy. And you don't need to do that to find a roleplay buddy. You're going to find really good friends. You're going to find tight-knit people that you're going to get along with regardless of relationship status, And if you do that, you're also limiting yourself in a lot of ways, because I'm going off, this is all off coming out of the top of my head here. So, but if you're only looking for a relationship and say, you only fly in one direction, male or female, well, you just cut out 50% of the population as possible roleplay buddies. You could be missing out, like Strafe and I, if all I did was RP with other chicks, and because I had to be in a relationship, I wouldn't give him the time of day. And I would have missed out on all that great roleplay we'd had over the years.
All the skullduggery, all the plotting.
And that's totally not worth missing out on. We had so much fun and interesting conflicts and stories, but if I only role played with people I wanted to be in a relationship with, man, you're cutting yourself short. More, not other people. You're really selling yourself short. And like happened to this poor guy, he kind of just, because it takes time to cultivate that, kind of just got burnt out and wandered off. And it sucks because they were a really good role player, but they were so focused, they were so short-sighted and focused on that they kind of screwed themselves over. And ATVale, we play ESO, and Jazz's guild is Alanu, and the other one that we're in is called Servants of the Tribunal. So that's the two guilds we largely play in ESO. But we do, the shows for basically anybody that role plays, because the standards of role play are pretty much the same across the board from WoW to Final Fantasy XIV, which we've pretty much role played in all of them. Well, that was my quick rant. Sorry about that. That was just it's something I meant to put in the thing, and I totally forgot, and it just all popped in all in my head at once.
No, and you made good points as well. One of your points being, if you are going to be in a relationship, you're literally locking yourself down. How long did I spend with the one that shall not be named? Because I was literally in that role play, and I was already in it, and I was committed to it, even for good, bad, or ugly. And I stayed committed to it until literally the crazy got too much.
Right.
And that's
a date, you got into a poisonous spot.
It was bad, but
that's one thing we don't even have in here, about not the poisonous, but are you going to be committed to that person and not get into other relationships, which can cause even more chaos. Right,
which will we'll hit that. We'll add that to we're going to go over the basic rules in a second. But,
okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. But before we get to that, we'll go ahead. Rahanar had our call screener. Rahanar had wanted to say something. So what's up, Rahanar?
Yeah, this actually it deals with what you were talking about. How there was somebody that you were in a guild with that just pined for a relationship, and I think what that is that ends up being that people as a whole want to feel special, and they want someone to make them feel special.
No,
that's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, very good. Very true.
Very true.
And it's probably a combination, wanting to make sure that you've always got somebody that when you log in, they're going to be like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. Let's role play, and also like you said, just wanting to feel that kind of connection. But, and that can also, but if that's what you're after, especially because it's just a game, and that other person, more than likely is, a lot of the role players I know, they're all, largely married or in a relationship in real life. There's outliers. Strafe.
Sad face.
Oh, yeah, but you're just waiting for the right one. That's what it is.
I am.
It's not
My
like
standards are way too high.
I just think it's because you're down in Texas and the closest thing to you is nobody. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Actually, just work too much and I don't have time to go out. That's the real deal. But
I will say, bitches are expensive.
Yeah.
What?
But yeah, that
Not the real
was
deal.
just the point I wanted
I
to
will
make,
say
is that
bitches are
I think
expensive.
just people in general want
Yeah.
relationships because they want to feel special.
What?
You gotta turn your thing down, Rohanar, because you're
That's going to be
feedbacking on.
fun for the episode later.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was like, wait, I'm hearing myself.
Look what you did, Rahanar.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. But yeah, you bring up a good point. That yeah, they might just be looking for something, and if you're looking for something in a game because you can't find it in real life, man, I feel for you. I get it. I mean, we all seek another person. We all want something else. Well, most of us. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. If something happens to Sib here, I'm done. I'm done. I'm good. I'm not gonna look for shit. I'm good with dying alone with like 1,000 bulldogs.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna be the crazy bulldog guy. I'm not gonna be a cat lady. I'm gonna be a bulldog guy.
In all honesty, I'd probably be the same way. I'd move into a little bitty apartment all by myself, and I would just become a hermit and role play all the time. That's what I would do.
Well, that was it. So I'm going to jump out.
Well, appreciate you
you.
bringing that point to us, Ronar. It was a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Get back to work.
Yes, sir.
It does make you feel special though when you get into a relationship.
Yeah.
Because
Well, yeah, because, just like anything, kind of makes you feel like, you're wanted. But you have to remember that it's not a real relationship, which is where we come into some basic ground rules. If you are going to get into a relationship, which there's, like we're saying, I know we've been like on the, be cool about it. But so if you are in a relationship, which is, again, most people end up in their roleplay character's career somewhere, usually in one. Some people have various reasons they don't. Maybe their spouse isn't comfortable with it, which, trust me, I understand, because that's why, Sib and I had a hard time with it for so long, because both our previous exes used the internet to cheat on us,
No good.
That never helps.
No, and so it definitely leaves, and that's why, like, I'm totally cool with, like, Sib and Strafe's characters having a relationship, but no further than that. Like, any sexy time and things like that, I'm not okay with. The reason I'm not okay with things like ERP between them is it's too much like sexting to me, which is something that you don't do in a married relationship with other people. Not everybody agrees with that. Jazz, I know you got, you and your husband, you have no problem with it at all. And that's cool. It's a personal preference that I mentally can't, it's a hurdle I can't get over, that in it does not make me have the good feels,
If he was not being truthful about it, it would bother me.
Here's the problem.
Right. And that's what I'm, Well, see, and there's another, that's honesty.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're all right. I was just on her point of, like, if he was doing it without telling her, then she would have a problem. If he's forthright, there's no problem. Right? Is that what you're saying, Jazz?
Exactly. But we're open anyway. So,
right.
But if he ran off and he did something with someone and hid it from me, you bet your sweet patootie I would have a problem with it when I found out.
Right.
Sweet patootie.
I would pick his lungs out with a spoon.
You potty
mouth.
But
I'm trying not to swear.
But at the same time, like I was saying, you guys know about it, and as long as you're up front, you're cool. Even with me, I just can't. It's not a hurdle I can jump over. I just can't do it.
And Ashton, I agree with your point, because here's the problem with ERP, and this is going to be a small plug. We'll have more of this in the other episode about it. But people will get way too invested into it. Like, they'll get OOC'ly invested in that crap, and it's like a slow thing at first. It's insidious. It builds slow, and then before you know it, you're obsessing about that person, and you're waiting for them to log in. And if they don't log in and they're playing with someone else, then these people get crazy. I've seen it, and it's not good.
No. And that's one of the things we have in here. The first, and I think probably the most important rule for any relationship role play is no mixing the in-character relationship for an out-of-character relationship.
Amen that.
That
absolutely
they are separate things, and just because your characters are madly in love and it's some Twilight novel level bullshit of romance or whatever drama that you're into, that does not translate into the real world. Now,
True story.
you know, it's separate. You know, and I have known people, Jazz, we know 2 people. And now that I've said it, I totally blanked on their names. Tilder and Sabri?
Yes, Sabri.
So,
Yes.
yeah,
Tilder and Sabri.
But they met in Roleplay. They met as their characters, and they have been happily married now for years. So it can happen, but also they were both single at the time. So
They're more the exception, right?
Right. They are definitely an exception than a rule, because a lot of time, you know, like anybody that would start obsessing about SIB, OOC, because of in-character relationships, I'd tell her just to cut it off. You're done. You know, that's it. You know, and I wouldn't even need to tell her. She'd do it herself, but she would, you know, she'd tell me about it. It's not like I'd be like, woman, do it. No, she knows full well, because she's not going to be comfortable with that. I mean,
No.
I don't think anybody can be that comfortable with that level of obsession crazy.
Right. So that's for me, that's the golden rule of any relationship. No in-character, you know, no in-character mixing for out-of-character stuff. Another one that I think is good, I don't know what that was, but all right.
What in the world is that?
Another one, that ERP, as Straffe was happening, doesn't happen without consent. You never know, you don't know people's situations. You know, you maybe you can go right up to that line, they start kissing, and you know, that's it, and then you got to stop, and that's where something like Fade to Black is perfectly acceptable.
Yep.
You know, the other one is apparently it was Jazz's that cut off bark was Jazz's connection going to shit.
No.
So when she comes back, I'm sure she'll have plenty to say.
That was her banshee scream.
That was motherfucking windstream.
She's gonna beat us when she gets back.
Oh, I know. But the other one is you do not owe the other person all of your time. You know, like we said, you know, if you know, there is an expectation that your characters are going to need to get, you know, you're in a relationship. There's going to be role play. So obviously and it really probably won't be a problem, because if you're in the relationship, you probably already like the player enough to be friends with. So giving your time is over, but is not a big deal. But when you think that if you're both logged in at the same time, they have to absolutely and can only be with you, you're wrong. It's something you guys should definitely set up. You know, like I said, you got to set up these ground rules beforehand. And if they are doing that, maybe don't get pissy when your partner, your RP partner, and you're in a relationship with, has RP with other people, or Straffe, I'm looking at you, plays other characters. And then they start getting angry tells from somebody. Well, why are you playing over there? Who are you talking to? What's going on? Why aren't you over here playing with me?
All I can hear is put it all on black, whatever, 25.
You gotta put it all on Black 13. That's all I'm saying. You're a saint of a man. You remind me of my fifth husband. He was a good guy. A little short, bald, and a little round around the middle, but he was a good guy.
The amount of hate tales I used to get, and one of which was at Sibby's bar night in EQ2 when she had the Rapture-themed underwater bar.
Oh, yeah.
I was dancing with one of that person's best buddies, apparently, and I was getting hate tells from the other person. Like, why don't you dance with my tune like that? This and that. I was like, I literally at some point I stopped. Look, what is your major malfunction? OOC. Like, this is freaking role play. Why are you reading? Like, what is wrong with you? And then it got quiet for 10 minutes. Then it started again. But yeah, dude, sometimes those are signs to run and run fast and run far.
Yeah. Yeah, in if you get stuck in something like that, and I know, Strafe, I use you as an example because I'll be honest, you and Jazz, and I'm honestly going to say you more than even Jazz's Psycho, have had the most extreme examples of how a relationship RP can go bad with somebody. And Jazz's was bad with He Who Shall Not Be Named, but
I have to say that his much worse and longer lasting.
And much longer lasting. And that is just, and part of that, it's a weakness on Strafe's part for being a nice, decent guy.
Yeah.
Fuck those people.
Used against me. I mean, they knew I cared.
They literally used the fact that you're a pretty good guy, that you mean well, you don't want to hurt, you don't go out of your way to hurt people or their feelings, and they completely used that as a weapon against you.
They did, and I had too much patience, thinking that they're gonna get their head on their backside eventually.
Right, or or maybe I'm reading too much into it. It's really not
maybe I'm
that
an idiot.
bad, or And meanwhile, Jazz and I are on the sidelines. Go away! Run! Hide!
Yeah, true story.
Yes.
But and that's so don't think I'm picking on you. It's just that you really, and it was a toxic relationship, both as them as a friend and as the character itself, because they were manipulative on both ends.
No, I think it's good to talk about it, to be honest, because it's a great example. I have a great example, and it was a really long case study to see how far and how bad it can get.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had front row seats to it. I did it myself. I really cared for the person, thinking that I could help them, and and that was the other part. You started to get some actual real world feelings for them, which is fine. We said we saw that with two other people, and I don't know how long they've been married for a very long time now. And
I'm trying to think. So
at the same
they got
time,
married in 2013, 12. It was 2012.
Yeah,
and
so
they were already living together.
Yeah, and they were living together long before they got married. So they've been married a good 5-6 years, and they were together probably longer than that.
At the same time, I did, in the back of my mind, know that there was a rationality line that I would not cross. Like, I wasn't going to blindly go drive to that person's place and go hang out for copious amounts of time, because I knew it had been a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I kept trying to give advice. Hey, you should look into this. You should try this. You should try this. And still be role-playing and supportive, this and that. And trying to be a generally good dude. And that will be used against you. So beware, kiddies. It does happen.
Yeah. And, and I don't want to back, relationship roleplay can be really, really great. It can be a lot of fun. It can be really cool. We're focusing on the ugly side of it right now, because there could be some really ugly consequences to it, and you could end up, not burn it out on a game. You could end up, people have ended up in really bad, ugly situations mentally. Jazz, it was a serious blow when her lunatic went off the deep end. It hit her hard.
And I should have seen it coming. But
and you did. Really cared about it. In a lot of ways you did, but you didn't.
Yeah, I should have known. I'd been in abusive situations before. All the marks were there. I cared about him a great deal, and he knew that. And like Stray Phase used that against me.
It's what we went over before. It's sociopaths.
Yeah.
On the flip side, when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
Case in point, Ringots was literally just a weapon for Vodka. That was her freaking guard. That was her top assassin. But they had this little thing going on the side. And some of that RP was freaking, we're talking about some steam novel stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they kind of hated each other. So it was just always this back and forth, and it was great. It was freaking, sometimes it was hilarious. Like, how far is this going to go? This stupid game that they keep sticking it to each other publicly. And people are thinking she's going to kill her own assassin. And then literally 5 seconds later, he runs into her office and just lays this massive kiss on her, and it's freaking on like Donkey Kong. It's crazy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It can be really good.
Yeah.
Crazy can be fun as long as it's only IC.
As long as it's
exactly.
That's always the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes with that trust part.
And I've watched it with Sib on Voline and your Trithalis character, you two clearly are having a lot of fun with that, and you've had fights. I mean, in-character fights over it. She's
Two
as we've
different
said on the
worlds.
show.
Crazy.
But she's you guys have had a lot of fun with it. In Straffe, I think in a lot of ways too, it's restored your love of role play in some ways, because you're not, at least with Sib, you know who you got.
Yeah.
She's not going to come pining for you and want you to, father her babies or whatever the hell was going on.
Yes,
I
'cause
can't
Sib,
have
I love you,
babies.
darling.
I
but
can't have
if
babies.
if that starts happening, I'm gonna call Ash and be like, bro,
Run for the hills.
dude,
Yeah, exactly.
dude, no, check your woman. She's gone off the edge.
Check your woman. But yeah,
I'm exaggerating, of course, but
Right.
yeah.
I know what you mean.
So you don't want
It
me
got-
to come and set up camp on your couch?
So Ashton, got your woman. We gotta talk, bro. Like,
Right.
Dude,
Well, and she
I
couldn't get away
sleep
with
without
it
my
very
nice
far.
comfy bed and my Darth Vader mask.
she
That's
has a
true.
Vader chamber, bro, and
She
it's a
does.
commitment.
She does.
Ashton has accepted the commitment. He goes in there like Admiral Piet every once in a while. It opens up. She's like, "Yes, Ashton."
Yes.
Sorry to disturb you, Sibs, but we're out of orange juice. I thought I restocked the orange juice. I'm sorry.
demand more orange juice. What will I put my vodka with now?
You failed me for the last time, Ashton.
So, all right. Well,
But no, you are right. The whole restore your faith, because for a while I would roleplay a little bit, and then I'd be like, forget this, dude. I'm just going to go play Battlefront 2 and stomp some rebels.
Yeah.
That's more entertaining than dealing with crazy people.
exactly. So let's go ahead real quick here and go to our call lines where we have Mikey. What's
Hi,
up,
Mikey.
Mikey?
Yes. I would
Mike.
like to come in and preach the word of RP relationships and profess my love. Hey guys, how you guys doing? It's great to be here.
Doing
It's
all right,
okay.
bro.
No, continue. You can tell everyone how much you love it.
No,
Hanging like that,
Mikey, I'm not gay. I'm just saying I'm willing to learn for you.
look, okay, I can't keep these feelings inside anymore.
Would
just
you say that
gushing
you're...
forth, and I have to announce it to the world.
Whoa.
I'm
This is a
deeply
rated R show.
in
We don't
love
want
with
nothing.
pizza.
Nothing goes gushing forth on this show. So, what do you got, Mikey? What's up, buddy?
Well, I think a point that ought to be talked about is that not every relationship works. At least I'm not sure if it was talked about. I came in like 15 minutes into the show. But...
No, we hadn't hit that yet, or at all.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I don't think every relationship, at least in real life, doesn't always work, right? That's how the dating scene works. It's a process of elimination that's kind of hectic. I would
Yes.
say.
Yeah, you don't know
Oh,
if you're going to
yes.
get along with them until you get to know them a little bit, and then realize, wow, you're a dipshit.
I mean, yeah, or, things seem to be going great at first, and then something happens that they change in some way, or you change in some way, and no longer are you compatible. It's how you grow as people. Or, sometimes the romance is no longer there, and two people go their separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
And in an RP environment, for some reason, it tends to go fast forward, like really, really fast. I've seen folks who meet in a month, right? And then the next month, they're getting ready to give each other rings. And the next month after that, they already have a baby. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah,
And-
it definitely moves on
It
an
is.
accelerated path than it would in real life.
That's that
Right.
life in the fast zone RP that's
Yeah.
annoying.
But I think, and some of that I think is just because, it's like a week in role play time does not feel like it does as a week in the real world. It always feels like things are all just they move so fast, like like when you binge watch a television show, and when you watched it live week to week, man, it's felt like it took forever to get from one thing to the other. But when you binge it, like all 12 episodes or whatever, one after the other, like, man, that didn't feel like that was any time at all,
Sure. And I agree with that 100%, because if you look at it in terms of time, you only get to spend, let's say, if you're really like an RP addict, right? You spend maybe 6 hours on the computer RPing at any given time, even though there are 24 hours in a day, how many hours in a week, so on and so forth. And so, yeah, it definitely progresses at a faster rate. But I think that the pacing issue is something that a lot of good relationships, at least ones that I can see, and this is looking at it with a very cynical and jaded mindset of they never work, but still, the ones that tend to.
Right.
Sorry.
I think you're very right. The accelerated relationships that start and then marriage and then baby, they're going like a month at a time. They never work ever. You can set your watch by how much, because they're addicted. In my opinion, this is my opinion. I feel that people that move really fast in relationships are addicted to the courting process. So they want somebody to meet, fall in love, have a baby, live happy ever after, wash, rinse, repeat. And so as soon as they're done with the...
Once they squirt out the kid and it turns kind of stale.
Right. Then they just ditch and walk away.
They get that itch to start it all over again. It's the what do they call that? The hunt, I guess. I've not dated in
yeah, I'd say it's probably like a hunt. Yeah, I think that's really part of it. It's the hunt, it's the process, it's the romance. And as soon as they see you're married and you have a kid, you're like, and they don't play that character anymore, and they go play another character, and you get froze out. And I watch this happen with a lot of people.
That's what happens when you go too fast. You literally have to just freaking follow the role play. Don't have it planned out.
Don't rush it. Don't rush it. It's not worth rushing
Enjoy
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this isn't to take away from whirlwind romances either, because I mean, sure, we see them in storybooks. Seldomly do they happen in real life, but they happen. But once the relationship is formally set, right? It takes two to tango. So both of you it takes two folks to continue building it over time, I think. And another thing is that RP in and of itself, and this is a very unpopular opinion, but RP in and of itself is artificial drama that we find okay at certain points, hate at other points.
Yeah.
That's fair. Right. Thank you. I'm glad somebody agrees. And because of this, many folks, at least I find from observation, tend to look at relationships as this sort of big dramatic thing that this femme fatale falls in love with this, soldierly dude, and now they're on a crash course destination to nowhere, and we got to see where it ends up, and explosive arguments all over the place, or steamy sex in the middle of the tavern or some shit like that, because it adds to the romance.
Gosh,
right.
That's not how it works though, right? It's those small moments of working it out that really make it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree with that, because like my husband and I, that way, we've been together a long time. And when Ren and I first met Strafe and I first met as Ren, Gotts, and Vacarina, that was 10 years of role play.
I feel old, Jazz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you have to have a certain mentality, and once you do the whirlwind romance, the ring, and squirt out the baby, that's where Kishmas is at, who joins us now. Hey, Kishmas.
Hey, what's up?
Listen, it's your turn, bro.
My turn for what?
To add into
give your 2
topic.
cents, but like we didn't hit on you and Nathala's thing, because you guys have had a really long lasting relationship and things like that, and it happened organically. But you've now popped out 2 role play kids, but you guys you still enjoy the relationship role play.
Yeah. Honestly, you just gotta trust the person at OOC and just make a friendship out of that already.
There is some sort of degree of OOC compatibility that's always needed now, isn't there?
Yes.
We're RP partners, so
yeah,
I think it's easier when someone's just having an RP relationship and they're not really making a friend OOC. Obviously, it's not going to last because you have nothing in common. You might not even have the same RP roles or RP play style.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, which and the other thing too is like, with her, she's married. You're not going into this expecting like, well, maybe there's a chance.
No.
No. It's literally just the role play. Your characters mesh well, so they continue to stay together, and
it's pretty funny because they're
makes a
really
good
opposite
thing.
of each other.
But how often does that in the real world too?
That's true.
That's the whole opposites attract kind of a thing. So, Mike, did you have anything else there before I let you go?
Yes, Mikey for president. Thank you.
Oh.
No. Sorry. No, whatever it is you play aloud.
No blood.
I think Max is going to go talk to Luke and Delia and get this guy off the ballot.
That's right.
Can I get your support behind my candidate? Penelope needs all the support she can get.
Speaking of, we'll give you a free laser rifle if you come check out the Brotherhood.
Oh, very tempting offer. I'm pretty sure there's some campaign finance laws that many of you are breaking right now, and
hey,
I don't know. I don't produce.
Okay.
I don't produce laser rifles or power armor. I just, hey, if they're there and he likes them, he'll go talk to an engineer.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mikey, we appreciate you calling in. Yeah, and thank you for your points.
Thank you so much. You guys are always lovely.
Take care, Mike.
Thanks,
Later,
Mikey.
brother.
Later.
All right, so welcome back. Welcome to us, Kishmas.
Thank you.
Glad you could join us.
I am too.
Yeah, we had kind of a late start for some technical issues, but I'll tell you about that later because everybody that's here already knows about it.
But like you were saying about the small moments, though, sometimes getting punched in the nose creates a really good story. And sometimes the whole road back to winning that person's affections back is fun as well. So, you got to take all that in consideration.
Exactly. Going back to here, what we had with the role play, when you're just, going up to people, that some people, do find it flattering, of course, anybody that's interested in role playing with somebody, of course, it's, it's a flattering thing. It's like we were saying, everybody likes to be wanted in a lot of ways. But, you definitely want to know what kind of people you're approaching with this request, though. So just because some player doesn't want anything to do with a relationship RP, and if you keep pushing, you could lose the RP altogether. Just, respect the other person's wishes. Like if somebody is just, they're like, hey, are you interested in a relationship with your characters? And they say no, don't keep asking them every day.
Yeah. Actually, me and Nethna really had an OOC conversation on like, hey, you want our characters to date? This kind of happened. We didn't really.
Yeah, and then there was probably a point where your characters got to somewhere and you're like, all right, well, maybe we should start talking about this.
No, for the longest time we didn't.
Yeah. See, that's cool. Like I said, you guys are kind of the outlier when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're the best.
Well, she is.
Yeah, she is.
Yes, she is.
I'm a piece of shit.
Well, I'm just glad somebody understands it. But like another, there's a lot of people that you have to respect. There's somebody in one of our guilds that their character constantly hits on everybody that Sid brings around, and she's told them like, no, I'm not interested. Don't do that. And yet every time they're around, they're hitting on her again. It's like, oh, I'm just going to flirt. Well, I've already told you, knock it off, and yet you keep doing it. And that's why, we don't hang out with you that much. Just respect people's wishes. It's not that hard, Like, if it's a ridiculous...
I will say, going back to the basic rules, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you guys decide to set up a relationship, and you have to really respect, everything that person is going into this with. Like if they say, okay, your character's tied to my character, I don't want you in a relationship with any other characters. Okay, you're either going to need to commit to that or walk away. I mean, because you don't want the OOC drama.
And
that
don't
brings.
commit to it.
Yeah, I would say in that
that
case,
never ends well.
That's
Well, I mean, if it's just one character. Now, if it's other, like if it's on another character.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got no, you know, like say.
Like if the character they're going to be in a relationship
Amy
with.
and Jack are getting together.
Yeah.
And then Jack has like 5 other characters, and he wants to get in a relationship with somebody else on one of his other characters. That's cool. That's perfect.
I see
cool.
what you're saying now.
But
yeah.
if Amy's like, okay, me and Jack are getting into a relationship, and Jack goes into this knowing that Amy doesn't want Jack hitting on any other women or anything, then that can cause some problems. And it's not something you want to deal with.
Yeah. Basically, if you're getting into a relationship that you're going to be just like in a normal, what's considered a normal monogamous relationship. Their characters stay together and they don't cheat, basically.
Yeah.
And you agree on that OOC, that if you agree on it OOC, then you should respect that, because it was.
You want to make sure you set down good ground rules on how you want how it to work out. I mean, guys, some people are like, okay, I'm going to be in a relationship with you, but I also want to be in a relationship with this person. Then at least you guys know about it. Be honest.
Yeah. Well,
Be honest.
like with you, you've got a couple characters in relationships, and if somebody on one of them was like, I don't want any of your characters to be in a relationship other than the one I'm in, that's a red flag, and you run from that person as far and fast as you can. I'm sorry to say.
You run fast.
Yeah,
you run
because
far.
that's somebody that can't separate. That's a clear indication of somebody that cannot separate the in character from the out of character.
Yeah, all your characters belong to me now.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
seriously
all your
sad.
time, all that is all our character. You know, we all have to be together. Now, again,
all your characters belong to me mentality.
Belong to us. Now, it's different with at Vale, who's married, and she and her husband always create characters that are together. They're married. That's not, they're a married couple.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's an
perfect.
exception,
That's
right?
right.
I mean,
but when it comes to just somebody you're kind of friends with, or maybe online, and you've got no real world connection to them, it's an unreasonable expectation.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, for married couples, that's perfectly acceptable. Obviously, they're married. You kind of have to respect the other person's wishes. I mean, it's not going to be a very long-lasting marriage if you don't.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just, online friends, well, you can't really ask for that. You can't ask that of somebody, and my mouse is being stupid.
Like Kishma said, you got to be compatible with them, and I think Sib said as well. OOC, as well as IC, to actually make that work, because I mean, it does take. It's just like the real life, except you're adding also the online complication to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see here. And lastly, keep in mind that the spouse of a person you're asking may have demands to be met, and instead of getting hurt when they say no, take some time to get to know them, and maybe something better than RP based on relationship may evolve.
Yep.
Which is, that's a thing Sib and I have. I'm sure if there was somebody I wanted to get into a relationship, even though she's in one right now, we would still have that talk. I wouldn't just jump into a relationship on one of my characters that wasn't her without letting her know and get, and who it is and all that stuff. Just because, well, she's over there with Strafe and the other guy on her other characters.
That just makes me sound so bad.
Man, you're whoring around. But I would as her husband, I got to, it's communication. Like Jazz was saying, her and her husband communicate. It's what you do in a marriage, and if you're not doing that, you're asking for trouble.
That spouse seal of approval. If you don't got it, you're just creating problems.
Yeah, and even my first one, we're divorced, but she didn't want me doing any relationship role play. That was it. That's all there was. Wasn't going to them. That's all there was. And if Sib was the same way, or, that's just how it would be. And when we were together at first, that's how it was, and I was fine with that. I love her more than I love role play. So why would I why would I endanger something in the real world for something that doesn't actually exist? It's not worth it. So
I didn't understand it either. I was like, when we first got together, I had no clue what he was doing. And I will say again, I was super jealous of Jazz. I was like, well, why are you up till 1 o'clock talking to this person? And then I realized after I learned what it was like, oh, okay. I just, whenever I met him, I had no clue that this world ever existed.
Yeah, from an outside perspective, like literally, in almost any other thing other than our hobby here for role-playing, staying up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, talking to a woman on the internet,
not suspicious.
Not suspicious at all. There's no flags there. What are you talking about?
Normal. What are you talking about?
Right? You're Napoleon Dynamite's brother. I stayed up so late last night talking to all the babes on the internet. It's a little fishy. And if you don't know what our hobby is in this world, then yeah, man, that's anybody else doing that. Like, when my ex-wife was doing that, should have been the problem was it was also with somebody that was like a brother to me and a best friend. So we were all family friends, so I didn't think anything of it. Had it been a complete stranger, that would have been different. But at the same time, in retrospect, that was kind of a red flag. It's one of those things that you just have to respect the person you're with. And if you don't do that, like I said, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So
exactly.
So with that, anybody have...
I want to say one more thing.
That's what I was going to ask. Go for it.
Behind every character, there is a person, and you don't want to hurt that person's feelings.
Speak for yourself.
Most of us don't go into this wanting to hurt anybody's feelings. And just remember that whenever you do the relationship stuff, try to be open and honest and have a good foundation of RP established, so you guys can actually enjoy what you're creating.
Yeah, so that you can focus on the the fun part instead of having to do all the background support stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all here for the role play. And like I said, talking to Jazz about her family and her, poor Jay's constant bout of stones in his body. That's because we love her like, family. But
and her wild children, we still love her.
Yeah, my wild children running in and out of the place.
Her crazy children that I'm pretty sure if she hadn't been pushed to talk, we would have heard the crack and slap of a backhand. But
no, but I have 3 extra children, and so they're loud here.
Crack and slap of a backhand.
Yep.
Hey, don't tell me you didn't think about it. I know you. Laughter confirmed. Let's move it on. But it's we want to do the fun part. We're all here to do the in character. That's the fun part. The make believe is the fun part. The setup is unfortunately it's just something you have to do to make sure it runs smoothly. So that we can have fun. Which is what we're all kind of here for. Anybody else have any final stuff?
And don't be afraid to be honest.
No, definitely not.
I'm very, whenever I meet somebody and they approach me with the relationship RP, just like Straffe or Tervis, my first thing to them both was, I do not ERP. I don't do it. And Straffe knew because of Ashen, but Tervis, my first thing after he asked about the relationship RP was, I don't ERP. So if that's, what they're looking for, then
which is a lot of them,
they walk away.
When Sid said that to me, I was like, great, I don't either. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah. So you always want to be honest, no matter even the little things,
Yeah.
Just be honest.
And even if you do ERP, you still might want to be like, listen, this isn't going to be about just ERP. That's not, that's not the end all be all of everything.
It's like 90% of relationship RP. To be
it
honest.
is. That's why I wouldn't even, like you say, man, I wouldn't classify 90% of quote unquote relationship RP as relationship RP. I'd say it's 90% ERP.
I think a lot of people get into it for that. I mean, that's been hard.
They think it's a relationship, but
it's fun to get doing the whole getting to know you, getting to know all about you. That's fun too.
I've gotten into several relationships with people, and I've told them up front I don't do one-on-one RP, hoping that they understand what I mean, and they usually don't.
Right? Yeah. It goes from Strafface wanting to know all about you to I want to feel you from the inside.
I wanna lick you from your.
Right, exactly.
This went to the bad place quick.
But no, you want to lay down ground rules. That is the most important thing.
Stay on the ground.
Yes, Insomniac, there is RP that doesn't lead to ERP. Surprisingly, it does happen.
I mean, I've faded to black. I stopped ERPing because of the freaky.
Because of what Strafface said, yeah. What'd you call it? I forget already. It was a good point. I'm glad you made it.
And another thing, being honest, like I'm very, some weeks I'm here every day, some weeks I'm not. And so I try to tell people that I RP with, hey, I don't have a lot of time. So I'm sorry. That might be a reason why you don't want to get into a relationship RP with. I don't know. But, there's just so many things you need to discuss. It's a sticky topic.
Yeah. I was sorry. I wasn't laughing at you, on.
Really? You had to go there?
No, I was saying Kyotin. I was laughing at what Kyotin Nerea in the chat was saying. Is it not considered weird to ask OO Sealy to develop an RP relationship? Isn't that seen as clingy? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I mean, if you've gotten to know the people a little bit and they're like, hey, if our characters continue on this path, are you okay with a relationship or should we veer away from it now? That, I think, is acceptable, because then your character, that way you don't even go down
I don't know that
path.
feeling.
But for anybody not Kishmas.
That was one of my things up there.
Oh, I
For
know.
the love of God, all caps, do not come out of the gate saying, you want to be in a relationship, Harvey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because most people are just going to turn around and walk away.
That's a creeper alert right there.
It definitely
that
is.
was what I did, is when I told people no ERP, suddenly they didn't want to RP anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise.
Yeah. Which is
well,
unfortunate.
you RP in the Rift a lot, so.
That is true. And that is
you will never find a
combination
more
of
wretched hive.
ERPers and trolls.
Well,
But
now, I had a great deal of fun there, and I still do. And I RP a great deal. I don't like the control, and I just ignore the idiots, so it doesn't bother me. But like the other day, we were talking we were talking IC, and we were also talking in OOC, which can get kind of raunchy sometimes. And this guy asked if we were in our ERP guild that was getting ready to join our guild. And I said, no, who told you that? And he was like, well, he had heard that we were. And I said, no, we're not an ERP guild. I'm sure some people do ERP here, but they do it in private, and it's not part of our guild.
It's not like
my characters are very...
Not like the one Sib went to, which was...
Naked, drunk, and running
and he
around.
left like 2 days later. So apparently this was part of the reason he was there.
Yeah.
And when he found out that while a lot of my characters are very sexual, particularly with strangers, and it's a very rare thing, it has to be part of the
storyline.
It has to develop. It has to be part of that development, or there's no point. And I don't just want to do it because I get off on it, because that's just creepy. So, not going to happen. And as soon as I lay down that with most people, if somebody asks me that question, 99% of the time they step away as soon as they get the
And then they run, yeah. And it's that was it. So going into, before we wrap it up real quick, that was what I don't know if we've told. I think we have told the full story of how Jazz and I actually like met and became friends. Like we had met each other off and on in EverQuest 2 as on our characters in the Blood Haze, and they had chatted, they had talked. But where we really, I think what really made us friends was that this is early days too, so she was definitely ERPing at this time. She hadn't, all the bad experience hadn't come around yet. That comes.
But
with
I was
that.
still very selective. But yes,
Right,
I was very open to it, and I enjoyed it.
But Xanis had definitely caught her eye because he was, not a bad-looking guy, and he was interesting and smart and not.
And he was
moron.
old, and he was powerful, and
Right.
she was trying to get information out of him
So
at the time. So yeah.
So she drug him off to the Blood Haze room privately, and she had started making advances on him, putting her shoulder, moving all sultry and putting her arms around his neck, and he very politely grabbed her arms, lifted them off, and put them to her side, and it's like, this isn't gonna happen. And then out of character I told her, I'm sorry, I've made a promise, I don't do that. I'll be honest, I fully expected her to just walk away from me, and probably I'd never hear from her again, because as Jazz knows, that's 90% of what happens when you refuse someone's ERP advance. And then the very next day she's like, hey, you guys want to roleplay again? Because it for both her and for her character, it made for an interesting and new dynamic, because I think, if I remember what you said, Jazz, right, that was the first time anybody had said no.
Well, it was not only that, but yes.
I'm talking not for you.
Character,
I mean,
no
in
one
character.
had ever told her no. Now, I still faded the black about 50% of the time with people even back then. Because
Right.
a lot of people are married and
Right,
can't.
right. I'm
But
just
they
saying
wanted
at the
to
time
say
you were
that
a
they had
lot
done
more
something.
like you
But
hadn't
yes.
you hadn't asked in advance, which I was fine with.
Yes, and he was nice about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I was nice back. I was like, I don't care. That's cool. Just tell her no. I
Yeah.
mean, her bad, but she'll get over it.
Right, but the fact that for the first time in character, her character had been rebuffed, as it went instead of me never hearing from her again, it went the opposite, and she was actually more interested in getting to know him, not in that way, but just to get to actually know somebody that would reject her advances like that.
Yes, and there was a reason. Because I had already figured out that I had better role play with people who faded to black or who didn't than the people that I did.
Right.
That's funny, Ashley.
But I also didn't know you that well at the time, so I fully expected never to hear from you again.
So I was thrilled.
That
I
was
had told
literally
Jay
like
about
the
it.
first month I think we had even known each other.
We had been sparking back and forth because she knew that he wasn't everything he claimed to be, and she was trying to get some information out of him. So that originally was what got us together.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Jay when I had gotten off the computer, I said, I met this guy, and he actually didn't want an ERP. He just wanted the role play. And he's like, really? Sign that guy up. Because it was just like, wow, I actually met someone that doesn't want to do this. That's fantastic.
What are you saying, Straff?
What's funny about that, Ashen, is Rengots would not even look at her in the eye at first. He was of his mindset that he was a low-born assassin. He could not look at a freaking matron, nothing. Over months, she broke Rengots down and finally got her way, because Ren was like, no. I'm beneath your contempt.
She did
finally
did the Delenn on you.
Yeah, over months, she finally broke him down until she found out that he could not look people directly in the eye, and he'd flip him out. And then that's how she got in and got her way.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's the old the Delenn from Babylon 5 that when Lanier, her little guy, came up to her and would refuse to look her in the eye, and she's like, yeah, I can't have an assistant that won't look me in the eye. He'll be forever bumping into things. Yeah. It's
But I think Baka was out to conquer in that regard.
Well, yeah, she was a terrible person.
Well, yeah, she was a monster. Yeah. So, all right. Well, last call. Anybody else? Final thoughts?
Oh, good.
I think we did a really good job with this one.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, it was a good one. Good one, Sib.
Thank you.
Well done, Sibbies.
Glad you got it. All right. So, with that, let's go ahead and start the music up and this thing. I do want to thank everybody for joining us, especially the new people that we had in here. ATVL, appreciate you. Remember, if you like the show and you're like watching it live, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe or whatever it is. Follow, that's it. Follow over at Twitch at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio.
You can do it.
That way, when we do go live, you'll always know in advance. You'll get the little warning and the ping, and we always start the show a little pre-show music and stuff like that to give people time to show up. We don't just start it right at 7 and then like, all right, nobody's here, let's keep going. So we appreciate everybody that tunes in. Appreciate all our Patreon donors again. Remember, next week, I think we are going to go ahead and show off some of the stuff that we got done by Smart Like Sorcerer some time ago. See which ones you guys like. See if there's any phrases that you might also enjoy, and see what we want to do for some swag. Actually, finally get some official stickers and things like that for the show, and for our Patreon donors and everybody that's helped out the show and got us where we are today. Because as we say, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Yes, thank you everybody for listening.
And thank you, Dizzy Rogue 87 for just following right there.
And thanks for
getting in under the wire. Appreciate that. So
Coyote was a new follower too.
Yes.
Good old
Must have
Coyote.
missed that one. So appreciate that. So with that, I want to thank everybody on my crew, Jazz, Sib, Strafay, Kishmis, and of course our call screener Rahanar and our moderators Yoon Fei. Appreciate every single one of you for joining us today, and remember to tune in next time when we'll talk about halflings and why they don't deserve relationships, because the end of the species is really all we can hope for. Next time on RPMMORadio. Good night, everybody! The thoughts and opinions of those on RPMMORadio are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music, as always, is provided by the one and only Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.